On the morning of November 5th, 1942, two gunshots echoed almost simultaneously through the ruins of Stalingrad. One came from Vasily Zaitsev, the Red Army's most celebrated sniper, the other from his German adversary. Seconds later, only one man was still breathing. This duel didn't just reshape the psychological warfare of the Battle of Stalingrad, it birthed the most legendary sniper story in World War II history. In 1915, deep in the Ural Mountains, in a remote village called Yeleninka, Vasily Zaitsev entered this world. His childhood couldn't have been more different from most Soviet kids. Instead of growing up around factories or farms, he was raised in the boundless wilderness of Siberia. His grandfather, Andrei, was a seasoned hunter with decades of wisdom about surviving in harsh conditions. The old man's first lesson for young Vasily wasn't about pulling triggers, it was about reading animal tracks in blizzards and keeping your fingers nimble in 40 below temperatures. While other kids were playing in the mud, Vasily could already nail a rabbit's eye from 500 yards out. Grandpa's single-shot hunting rifle became Vasily's most treasured companion. In those days when bullets were worth their weight in gold, every shot had to count. This demanding training forged Vasily's superhuman shooting precision and nerves of steel. But nobody could have imagined that these skills, honed in the wilderness, would prove decisive on humanity's most brutal battlefield. The gears of fate were already turning, though none of them knew it yet. Stalingrad was no ordinary industrial city. This steel giant, built along the Volga River, held strategic value that made Hitler's mouth water. Control Stalingrad, and the Germans could cut off the Soviet Union's southern oil supply lines, while opening the gateway to the Caucasus oil fields. More importantly, this city, named after the Soviet leader, carried massive symbolic weight. Hitler understood that taking Stalingrad wouldn't just be a military victory, it would be a crushing psychological blow to the Soviet people. Stalin knew it too. No matter the cost, this city could not fall. The city's terrain provided the perfect stage for the bloodbath to come. The Red October Steelworks, Tractor Factory, and Barricade Arms Factory formed three massive industrial fortresses, with each building destined to become a fiercely contested focal point. And Mamayev Kurgan, that 102-meter hill, loomed like a giant watchtower overlooking the entire battlefield. Whoever controlled this high ground would hold Stalingrad's fate in their hands. But what was about to unfold here would go far beyond conventional warfare. In September 1942, when Vasily Zaitsev and his naval comrades rode the rails across Siberia, they figured they were heading into a standard ground battle. As a member of the Soviet Pacific Fleet, Zaitsev's job was communications, not combat. But when their boats crossed the Volga under cover of darkness and they saw Stalingrad's burning skyline on the far shore, everyone realized what they were walking into. This wasn't just another battle, this was a fight for the Soviet Union's very survival. The 284th Rifle Division was immediately thrown into the most vicious fighting around Mamayev Kurgan. German assaults came in waves like a relentless tide, with Soviet casualties climbing by the hour. In this desperate situation, everyone had to step way outside their job description. Communications guys picked up rifles, cooks manned machine guns, and Zaitsev, this Siberian sailor, was about to discover where his true talents lay. The wheels of destiny were spinning, and history was about to be rewritten by this 23-year-old's hands. The moment that changed everything arrived while Zaitsev and his comrades were pinned down in a shell crater. A German MG-42 machine gun was spitting death from the high ground of Mamayev Kurgan, cutting down every Soviet charge. Casualties were mounting fast, and the German gunner seemed to have unlimited ammo. In this desperate moment, Zaitsev made a decision that would alter history. He set down his PPSH submachine gun and picked up that familiar Mosin Nagant rifle. The target was roughly 400 yards out, with the German gunner tucked behind carefully constructed cover, only occasionally exposing his head. Zaitsev adjusted the rifle's iron sights, recalling every technique his grandfather had taught him. He factored in wind direction, distance, and the target's movement patterns, then squeezed the trigger at the perfect moment. Hitler's buzzsaw went silent instantly, and hundreds of Soviet soldiers could finally lift their heads again. But that wasn't the end of it. When a German assistant gunner tried to take over the machine gun, another precise bullet claimed his life. The third German soldier met the same fate, 3 shots, 3 targets, perfect accuracy. Division Commander Colonel Nikolai Batyuk, who witnessed it all, was stunned. He immediately realized he'd discovered something priceless. That day, a legend was born. Zaitsev's incredible performance wasn't a fluke. In Stalingrad's ruins, an unprecedented sniper revolution was quietly taking shape. The brutal realities of urban warfare provided the perfect environment for snipers. Countless shooting positions, complex terrain, and high-value targets that demanded precision strikes. The movement's pioneer was Alexander Kalantsev, an old hunter from the Don River region. He was first to realize that in an environment like Stalingrad, a skilled marksman could have an impact far beyond his numbers. Kalantsev began systematically training other soldiers, teaching them how to survive and kill in the urban wasteland. Zaitsev became Kalantsev's finest student. But unlike the others, Zaitsev didn't just master the technique. More importantly, he grasped the psychological essence of sniping. He learned extreme patience, how to choose the most valuable targets, and how to stay cool under pressure. The Soviet propaganda machine quickly discovered these snipers' publicity value. Famous writer Ilya Ehrenberg published passionate articles in Red Star, calling on every Soviet soldier to become the Germans' worst nightmare. These pieces spread like wildfire, igniting fighting spirit throughout the Red Army. But the real test was still waiting ahead. By mid-October, Stalingrad's situation had deteriorated to breaking point. The Germans launched their general offensive against the industrial district, compressing the 62nd Army onto a narrow strip of land by the Volga. The entire Soviet defense line was teetering, seemingly ready to collapse at any moment. In this darkest hour, Army Commander General Vasily Chuikov summoned his star sniper. That day, Zaitsev not only received the Medal for Valor, more importantly, he spoke words that would go down in history. When Chuikov asked how they could continue defending this city that had been nearly leveled, Zaitsev's response was simple but powerful. "Comrade General, for us there is no land beyond the Volga." Those words instantly spread throughout the entire 62nd Army, becoming every Soviet soldier's battle cry. It wasn't just a slogan, it embodied a state of mind. Fight with your backs to the wall. Battle to the death. This spirit would prove decisive in the fighting to come. Chuikov was deeply moved and immediately decided to equip Zaitsev with the best gear. A Mosin Nagant sniper rifle with a PEM optical scope, 4 times magnification, effective range 800 meters. With this weapon, Zaitsev's lethality would multiply exponentially. As the fighting continued, Zaitsev received a new mission: establish his own sniper school. He needed to select suitable candidates from the wounded and train them to become deadly hunters. These students later became known as Zaitsev's Rabbits, a nickname derived from Zaitsev's surname meaning hare in Russian. Zaitsev's teaching methods were unique. He didn't just pass on shooting techniques. More importantly, he taught sniper tactical thinking. He told his students that a sniper's value wasn't in how many enemies you killed, but in killing the right enemies. One officer's death was often worth more than 10 regular soldiers because it caused command chain chaos. Most impressive was his billiards theory that he taught students. He required them to think about their next move before every shot, just like a pool player planning the next shot. This tactical mindset made his students not just shooters, but chess players on the battlefield. His finest student was Nikolai Kulikov, a young soldier from Moscow who would play a key role in the legendary duel to come. Kulikov wasn't just an excellent marksman. More importantly, he had the ability to work in perfect sync with Zaitsev. But the challenge they were about to face would test everyone's skills and courage. German high command grew increasingly worried about the losses and psychological impact caused by Soviet snipers. These red ghosts weren't just physically eliminating German soldiers, they were psychologically undermining German morale. Many German soldiers began refusing assignments that required exposing themselves, seriously hampering operational efficiency. In this situation, the Germans made a symbolically significant decision: deploy top-tier snipers to take on Zaitsev. According to Soviet intelligence, this mysterious opponent was Major Erwin Koenig, supposedly headmaster of the Berlin Sniper School, with extraordinary marksmanship skills. But the real situation was probably more complex. Modern historical research suggests the actual opponent was likely the ace sniper of the German 295th Infantry Division, a professional soldier with extensive combat experience. Regardless of his true identity, this German sniper definitely had the skills to go toe-to-toe with Zaitsev. The German plan was simple: regain psychological warfare initiative by eliminating the Soviet Union's most famous sniper. But they underestimated their opponent and the consequences this duel would bring. Two of the era's finest snipers were about to clash in the steel ruins. On the morning of November 1st, unexpected gunfire erupted near the small spring below Mamayev Kurgan. Two of Zaitsev's students, Morozov and Shaikin, were ambushed with pinpoint precision during a routine sniping mission. This level of marksmanship immediately put Zaitsev on high alert. It was far beyond any ordinary German soldier's capability. Morozov was badly wounded while Shaikin's scope was shattered by a perfectly placed bullet, with fragments nearly blinding him. Even more shocking was the timing and angle of the shots, showing deep understanding of Soviet sniper habits. This wasn't luck, it was skill and experience manifest. Zaitsev realized he was facing a real opponent, a professional killer whose skills might match his own. This realization was both thrilling and troubling. Over the past months, he'd grown accustomed to facing relatively inexperienced German soldiers. But now the situation was completely different. That evening, Zaitsev carefully studied the incident site's terrain, analyzing bullet trajectories and possible shooting positions. He began formulating countermeasures while choosing his most reliable partner, Kulikov, to assist him. This duel wouldn't just be a contest of personal skill, it would test willpower and intelligence. Death was already sharpening its blade, waiting for the final confrontation. For the next 2 days, this section of Stalingrad's ruins became a giant chessboard. Zaitsev and his mysterious opponent began an epic psychological war, with every move carefully calculated and every exposure potentially fatal. On the first day, both sides probed each other's patience and skill. When helmets appeared moving in regular patterns in the German positions, experienced Zaitsev immediately recognized this as a crude trap. The helmet movement was too mechanical, obviously controlled by an assistant. But this trap also revealed position information, allowing Zaitsev to narrow his search area. The second day's standoff was even more tense. Both sides patiently observed, looking for the other's weaknesses. Zaitsev used binoculars to carefully examine every inch of the German positions, recording any suspicious changes. He knew that in this level of duel, victory often came down to who could maintain focus and composure longer. The German sniper was conducting similar observation and analysis. He studied the Soviet position layout, analyzing possible shooting positions and escape routes. This mutual observation and analysis created a strange balance, with both sides waiting for the other to make the first fatal mistake. But the balance was about to be broken because the third day would bring an unexpected change. On the third day, an unexpected variable appeared on the battlefield. Battalion Commissar Danilov came to inspect the front lines, and his arrival shattered this delicate balance. When the commissar tried to point out where the German sniper might be hiding, a bullet instantly struck him down. This shot provided Zaitsev with crucial information. The bullet's angle and timing indicated the German sniper was positioned somewhere directly in front of them, not far away. More importantly, the opponent's shooting speed and accuracy confirmed Zaitsev's assessment. This was indeed a top-tier adversary. As time passed, Zaitsev began noticing that seemingly ordinary sheet of metal and pile of bricks in front of the German positions. This spot looked completely unremarkable from the surface, but it was precisely this ordinariness that made it suspicious. Zaitsev began wondering if his opponent had dug a perfectly concealed shooting position here. Through careful observation, Zaitsev noticed subtle changes in this area. While the metal sheet looked identical to a few days ago, the surrounding soil had a slightly different color, possibly indicating recent digging activity. This discovery excited Zaitsev because he realized he might have found his answer. Now he needed to verify this hunch and find the perfect opportunity to end this deadly game. On the morning of November 5th, Stalingrad welcomed its last sunny day before winter. This seemingly ordinary weather change gave Zaitsev a golden opportunity. As the sun's position shifted, afternoon sunlight began slanting in from the German position's direction. Zaitsev knew that any optical equipment would create reflections under direct sunlight. If the German sniper was really hiding under that metal sheet, his scope would inevitably give away his position at this time. Sure enough, around 2 in the afternoon, Zaitsev spotted that faint but deadly glint. This was the moment he'd been waiting for. Zaitsev immediately formulated his final action plan. Kulikov would create a decoy using a helmet, while he aimed at that reflection point, waiting for the perfect shooting opportunity. This plan required flawless coordination and precise timing. Kulikov's performance was masterful. When the helmet fell, he let out painful and convincing groans. This decoy clearly worked because the German sniper couldn't resist poking his head up to confirm his kill. In that instant, Zaitsev saw his target. A blurry figure appeared in his crosshairs. The Mosin Nagan's gunshot echoed through Stalingrad's ruins as a 7.62mm bullet sliced through the air. Hundreds of yards away, the German super sniper collapsed in his carefully prepared position, and this legendary duel finally came to an end. When night fell, Zaitsev and Kulikov carefully crawled toward the German positions. Under that metal sheet, they discovered a meticulously dug shooting position and the German sniper who would never again threaten Soviet lives. The dead man's equipment confirmed Zaitsev's assessment. This was indeed a highly skilled professional soldier. After examining the recovered documents and equipment, Colonel Batchuk confirmed the dead man's identity. But as time passed, historians discovered some puzzling contradictions in this story. The name Erwin Koenig couldn't be found in any German military records, leading to doubts about the real opponent's identity. Modern research suggests Zaitsev's true opponent was likely the ace sniper of the German 295th Infantry Division, a professional soldier with 103 confirmed kills. Regardless of the truth, the duel definitely happened, and Zaitsev definitely defeated a highly skilled adversary. During this story's telling, legend gradually overshadowed reality. The Soviet propaganda machine needed a perfect enemy to match their perfect hero, so the mysterious Major Koenig was born. But real history is often more complex and more human than legend. Zaitsev ultimately achieved 235 confirmed kills, including 11 enemy marksmen, making him one of World War II's most successful snipers. The significance of the Stalingrad sniper duel reached far beyond this personal confrontation. Throughout the entire Battle of Stalingrad, 985 Soviet snipers killed approximately 30,000 German soldiers total. Behind these numbers lie countless stories of ordinary soldiers like Zaitsev, who used their skills and courage to rewrite history's course. More importantly, these snipers proved that in the age of mechanized warfare, individual skill and willpower could still have decisive impact. They didn't just physically eliminate enemies, they psychologically undermined German morale, making crucial contributions to the Soviet Union's ultimate victory. Zaitsev's story shows us that heroes aren't born, they're forged in extreme circumstances. His journey from Siberian herdsman to Soviet legend demonstrates the tremendous potential ordinary people can unleash at history's critical moments. Today, when we look back at this history, we see not just the brutality of war, but the courage, intelligence, and resilience humans display under extreme conditions. These qualities transcend time and borders, becoming humanity's shared spiritual wealth. No matter how legends evolve, the value of this spirit will forever inspire those who come after.